tired this week, like pretty tired. Luckily, it's the beginning of the season. I tend to overdo it on the weekends in the beginning of the season, but the work is well worth it when it comes to the end of the season, and I'm not dying out there doing as much work. So I decided that for this week's midweek check-in, after work today, we are just going to do a little walkthrough of what we have coming up, because it is the beginning of spring. And last year in the spring, I put in 2 new flower beds, and my roses are starting to wake up, and it is just so exciting to me to get to walk through the flower gardens. So while our vegetable seedlings are in the back doing what they do, and the new flower bed is built and waiting, let's take a look at what we have coming up. So we put in a new garden space last year, as I think a lot of people did when everything shut down. But we have the exceptional privilege of, we purchased a house to remodel right before everything shut down. So we are building fresh. My husband gutted the entire inside of the house. I did move my rose bushes from the house that we were living in, and then we started all new last year. So these are just some pots that I have bulbs in that I don't have a home for yet. I'm sure I will find one. Let's take a look and see what we got going on down here. You'll have to excuse the noise of the road. I do live on a pretty busy street in a small city, so there's nothing really that I can do about that. That's why I spend most of the time in the back. But when I sit and drink my coffee in the mornings in the summer, that back porch next to this is my favorite. So these are my irises. They are huge so early. These are the daffodils that I put in last year. So hopefully they will bloom. I have heard that sometimes they don't bloom the first year. Everything in this bed, all of these little green things peeking up, are lilies, and of course those are hyacinths that are going to be up really soon. Along that back wall, I don't know if you can see them, but there are a few gladiolas coming up. They grow tall enough to cover the back wall. This lavender plant in the front, she was so perky and happy at the end of last season that I'm just praying that she survived through the winter. And on this other side of the walkway are my precious roses. Now, I have had some of these roses for upwards of 12, 13 years. They were my very first love in the garden. And they are quickly coming back to life. There are few things that make me more excited than the little red sprouts of leaves on my rose bushes in the beginning of the spring. They will be full and beautiful. They have really taken well to that space. And all of these are just ground cover flowers that I put in this front space. I spend so much time in the back garden that I don't do a whole lot throughout this front and side garden in the summer. Now, this is a Lenten rose that my son gifted me years and years and years ago, and she has now been split into a couple of different pieces. So eventually I will have her spread throughout the gardens at the house. But spring is here. We need new mulch. I'm sure that's everybody's experience right now. I need mulch. I had just enough left over to cover my sweet roses. They are always the first thing that I worry about in the season, but Next comes the lily garden. I can't wait until everything out here is green. Happy growing, guys. Bring y'all treats, I'm sorry.
Well, I had a good mother and dad just the same.